I guess my last question would be about the whole certification. You now have, and any trainers that are into Pilates and want to get a cool certification for a population that really needs it, and it's very specific and targeted, is Pilates for Buff Bones has a certification now. How did you get into that, and what kind of, I'm sure that was work, but what was that like?
Sure. It was hard. That's the first thing I would describe it as. That along with the DVD were the biggest challenges that I've done so far, and I think the biggest accomplishments that I'm really proud of in terms of creations.
Nice.
One thing I don't advise is doing them simultaneously like I did. It's a little bit of an overload. But first of all, I should actually clarify that it's not technically a certification. It's a licensing and it's an accreditation program. The reason is in the Pilates world, we can't say that something is a certification other than Pilates itself. And actually, I bring that up also because it's an important point that I wanted to work very tightly within my industry parameters with my industry association, the Pilates Method Alliance. And I could have called it a certification, but I really want to stay. I want to stay on good terms with them, and I want to be part of the community rather than being antagonistic. So I specifically don't call it a certification for that reason. But it is a licensing. There's a whole licensing agreement that the instructors sign before they actually take the course and before they pay. And that was another thing that I felt very strongly about because I wanted everything I wanted all the ducks to be in row or in order before launching the program, before people started getting trained, because I didn't want to start going back retroactively saying, here's all this material you've now learned, but wait, this is what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do with it. So that there's no questions, that everybody knows exactly what they're embarking on. And it makes for better communication, it makes for less challenge down the road, and I think it fosters better relationships with the people you're working with. So the idea of this came about several years ago when I decided to create a workout for Pilates for Buff Bones, and it's all based in my own experience, and so it's very personal for me because I was diagnosed with osteoporosis when I was 28.
Oh, wow.
And so it took a whole turn on my life, and it changed my Pilates teaching as well. And after doing a lot of study and working with a number of doctors and physical therapists and body workers and personal trainers and such, I created the Pilates for Buff Bones workout. I'd already been teaching workshops, continuing ed workshops on osteoporosis and bone health. But I wanted to create a codified workout because so often in a Pilates class where there's about 75% of these exercises that have to be modified for people with bone loss or with excessive bone loss, it became a real challenge, and it felt discouraging rather empowering for people in the class and for myself. So I wanted to create a workout that was inclusive to people with the excessive bone loss, but also for anybody that's looking to prevent bone loss, because people think of it as a disease of the elderly. But what bone loss really is a natural process of aging. Now, how much we manage it is the key. So I want people to realize that this isn't your grandma's problem. This is our problem. And it's men as well. It's not just women. So I created the workout. I worked with a lawyer to get a registered trademark because I knew I wanted to do something with this, and I wanted to own this myself and to launch it somehow, to really create a platform for exciting avenues. And I then created the workout, and it evolved probably about over a year and a half. It actually changed a little bit. And I was just teaching it locally first, and then I was presenting it at conferences. And I spent about a year and a half then, actually, creating the manual and working on the manual, which was very challenging because I'm very detailed and I want things to be very precise. And I created the dream manual that I would want to follow as a student, and with pictures and with objectives, with target muscles, like all the information that you'd want to know. Okay, why am I doing this exercise? Why is this valuable? What should I watch out for? What are the contraindications? What are cueing tips? So doing that for the manual, and then also having an introduction of understanding the policies, understanding about bone health, about functional anatomy. And so creating all of this for a manual was quite a big endeavor, but I feel really proud of it.
Nice.
And it's a part of me. You know, it's because, again, it is something that's very personal for me, and I am on a mission to try and change the image of bone health and make it a fun, sexy thing. It doesn't have to be, you know, the little old lady's problem.
Really? I mean, that's news to me, but that's really important for people to know,
Yep.
that it can affect them at a young age. So there's a lot of key takeaways I'm hearing. You found something, or something found you, that was, you know, life-changing, and you turned it into something really meaningful and powerful for other people that might go through the same thing. So
Right.
that's a great way of connecting with your passion, which Brett and I were talking a lot about, how that's kind of like,
Yeah.
you know, rocket fuel for your business. Because
Totally.
then it makes it, you know, like the hard work and the detail-oriented energy that you put into it isn't as much work. It's just more of like a passion that you have. It's an extension of that.
It's so true. And, you know, it's interesting. Whenever I do interviews, I can talk about bone health. I can tell you about bone metabolism. That's great. But if you ask me about my personal experience, that's where the passion comes out.
Yeah. I mean, and I didn't know that you had osteoporosis, but I you know, that immediately changes it for me. That really, like, that it takes on a whole other level of, like,
Yeah.
seriousness and power to it, which is, I mean, it's really a credit to you. That's really, really cool.
Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really impressed. Thank you. I know you're super busy. Thank you so much for taking this time to talk to us. And, you know, I can't wait to see what you do next. I think that the Pilates for Buff Bones is going to be huge. You already have instructors, and somewhere I saw in the Far East and in Canada
Yeah.
and all over the United States.
Exactly. Yeah, we have them in 4 different countries now, so it's really great.
That's awesome. It's only going to grow more, and it's amazing because you know, you're doing a lot of this on your own. I mean, you said, you know, you talked a lot about, you know, you have to have good people around you, and you used your resources, obviously, but you must work a lot, because it doesn't seem like you have a huge team.
No. No, the goal is actually to build a team.
Right, so we can talk about that next time, for sure. Yeah, because that's something I'm decent at, is building a good team. So that's, you know, because you can outsource quite a bit and just free up your time and energy for the things that are
Yes, yes.
yeah. I don't have to tell you, I can see it on your face.
Oh, definitely. You're always actually on my mind, Jonathan, whenever I think about how I need to outsource.
Yeah, because it's just amazing when you go to bed and you wake up and some things have been moved forward, you know, without you having to actually put the energy into it. I mean, it's great that you're hands-on, and I think that that's important, to do the research and know how you want things done first, so you can really find the right person to outsource. Because otherwise, I've had bad outsourcing experiences where it just doesn't help me move towards my main goals.
Right.
And just costs me money and time and management, you know, energy. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, and thank you for all the work that you've been doing. I mean, it's really been phenomenal watching you, and I always love to hear your advice, because you have all these gems of wisdom for people who are trying to do their own personal training business. And it's so wise, and they're thoughtful, and again, your passion comes through when you're talking, because it's what you care about, and I think that's one of the biggest things, and Brett mentioned it too. Just it's sort of like what I was saying before about going up against a wall. If you're not passionate about it, move to something you're passionate about.
Yeah.
Find your passion, because that's going to drive you.
Yeah, really, really, really well said. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. And yeah, I look forward to seeing what you do next. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Take care.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. This is Johnny Fitness and Rebekah Rotstein reminding you to keep your business fit. Take care.